Hi, my name is Eugene Uhuad. I own a company called Foam Fighters, which is an indoor Nerf arena. We host birthday parties and group events. We've been shut down since March 15th, but I thought that local life would be a good way to get to know all the other local businesses and entrepreneurs in our city while I wait to reopen.
Hello, my name is Chantelle Bielak, and I own a boutique travel agency called Traveling the Seas. I help start that local life to showcase restaurants and activities that are locally owned because I'm a local business too.
Awesome. So today we have Arden and Chef of Prairie Noodle Shop, which is located at 10350 124th Street here in Edmonton, Alberta. Prairie Noodle Shop has some very unique dishes centered around ramen noodles, and they use locally sourced quality ingredients. Thank you for joining us today at That Local Life.
Arden, great to have you. How did you get started in business?
Oh, wow. This was an interesting story for us because my partners and I, to be honest, didn't have a lot of restaurant experience. One of my partners, Terry, had experience in bars. We really wanted to just create we saw a niche, right? We saw an opening in Edmonton back 5 years ago because having traveled around the world and eaten ramen since I was a child, we wanted to bring some more of that here, right? There was a couple of shops, but we wanted to do something ourselves, and we saw a bit of a trend happening. But we also wanted to create something that was a little bit more unique and something that, I'm not Japanese, Terry's not Japanese, and we didn't want to pretend to be. And so for us, it was really about creating something that was true to the roots of what ramen is, which is regional. If you look in Japan, there's, a couple of dozen regions and they all have their own version of ramen based on the weather, based on the terrain, and all the agriculture that's available. So we thought, what would it look like if we created something that was inspired by the prairies? What if a Japanese chef arrived here 150 years ago and had whatever they had around them? And so that combination of starting something with a bit more of a unique concept and, really bringing people together. I have a firm belief that even though we can't right now, coming together over a meal is one of the most natural things that we've been doing since, the dawn of time. So those are kind of the elements that, led us to wanting to start something and something unique. And it's been an interesting road along the way. When you come into a well-entrenched kind of industry, and when people have a certain idea of what you're supposed to be like, and you challenge that, you get some detractors and you get some people who are open to it. And that's great. For us, that means we're doing something unique. And we've been around for almost 5 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. So right now, what do you enjoy most about what you do over there?
It's always about the people. Truthfully, a restaurant is a part of the community. It's a place where people gather. We've seen people come in and get engaged and come back, and celebrate their marriages. We've seen friends who are having their last dinner together because some of them were moving overseas, families celebrating. Honestly, the most touching story of a restaurant that I can share was I saw a post on Instagram a few years ago where it was of a little kid who was slurping down a big bowl of noodles. And the caption, the mother had written that, essentially the story was this child had undergone some sort of accident and had some brain trauma a couple of years ago. And it looked like they were maybe 6 or 7 years old. And she said that, over the last few years, it's been difficult. And, there's Chef Eric. Here,
hey there.
Hey, Eric.
Sorry, I'm just had a flat tire here.
Oh, no.
Oh,
And I broke the lug nut off.
Live.
So I got done.
So, just finishing up really quickly with that story about what we enjoy about the people. So this child had that brain injury, and the mother's narrative was, it's been really tough, but it's been getting better. And today, in fact, our visit to the doctor was so good, we decided to skip school and celebrate at his favorite place.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, being a place where people gather to celebrate with each other, to enjoy each other's company, and spend time with people they care about, that's why we do what we do. Right? And
nice.
That's what makes it fun.
Yep, I believe in that too.
Now, you've talked about this a little bit so far, but what would you say makes you unique?
Eric, I'm going to hand it over to you, being the man behind all the food and the wonderful, cuisine that comes out of there. What would you say makes us unique?
Well, that's tough. There's a few different angles to that one. I mean, there's like the food side of it that makes us unique from where these guys came from and what they put together. And then the team we have is unique because we share the money a lot differently than most restaurants do, which kind of put everybody together on one team, which separates us from a lot of different restaurants that I've worked in. So it's tough to say what makes us specifically unique. I think we got a few different factors, but I think the food is really what set us apart from everything. Just using prairie ingredients to make ramen had never been done, and that really did separate us and make us a unique restaurant in the Edmonton food scene.
Yeah, no,
I would agree. I think the philosophy, I mean, early on, Eric and I were talking, and I said, really, whatever you put out in the menu, whether it's ramen or appetizers or whatever it morphs into. I mean, we call it Prairie Noodle Shop because we love noodles. It doesn't necessarily have to be or stay ramen. But the whole point is, you can't get this anywhere else. The whole point is, let's make stuff that, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? So you try to come up with unique concepts that you can't get.
That's awesome. So with everything going on right now, what's your biggest challenges, and what are you guys doing specifically to pivot with everything going on right now?
Eric, frontline man.
Sure. I mean, it's the two sides. I mean, there's the financial, impossibilities of trying to run a restaurant with nobody in the restaurant that make this really tough. And then there's also the staff siding of getting staff into work safely and having them feel like they can execute and feel comfortable and protected, which is something we've always really been important for us, is to make sure that the staff are able to do their job. And now there's just all these new burdens and things that get them between getting to work, showing up at work, having everything they need. So, I mean, putting up plexiglass and getting the masks and having gloves and making a touchless system and separating so that drivers remain on the other side, and all the little things you have to invent to make it work for them so they can still do their job and still feel like they're doing a good job and feel good about the job that they're doing and feel safe. So and then it's trying to find a way to make us also stay open so we can keep paying them and keep paying the bills and stop from going to bankruptcy. It's
so have you guys been doing curbside pickup, those kind of things right now, or?
Yeah, we've got a system where they come in and then the food's placed over with their name on it on a bag on the table, and then there's just a little setup so that nobody has to be too close to each other, nobody has to touch anything. You just get your own package, Lysol wipes for everything, and yeah, that seems to be the way.
Perfect. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, the restaurant industry, the model itself is a very difficult one because of the low margins and high costs, and that's at the best of times, right, for independence. And so the biggest, I think, metaphysical or bigger picture, all of us in the industry, is what is this going to look like over the next couple of years? Because it's easy enough to say, well, just go to delivery and takeout. Not every restaurant is designed for that. Not every restaurant can survive on that, especially when you look at how our business model is based and all of our costs on a model that requires volume of people coming in. I mean, let's not forget that delivery and takeout, it costs, there's all those, all the delivery and takeout containers and such. And yes, there's less staff in there in terms of front of house, but we're still trying to move product, and, there's only certain hours that can happen. And the question for us is the public willing to come back? I mean, we have a small, tight space, 32 seats tops, and, it's a different kind of experience. I know, like for, Eric and myself, who are, avid restaurant goers and love the ambiance, the experience of going out. Is it going to be the same when you go into a place that's half empty, full of masks and plexiglass? Why would people want to do that anymore? So those are questions our entire industry is grappling with.
Yeah, which really leads into the next question that we had, which is, what are the coming trends in your industry? How are people reacting to this information, and what are they doing? Do you have to take out a bunch of your tables? How are you coping with this?
I mean, right now we have no customers in house. I mean, I got that phone call from AGLC. It's just like, want to clarify that it's illegal for you to serve any restaurant patrons right now. So, I mean, that for us was like, I mean, I know not everybody got that call, but that was just like okay. And I wish I had played it more. Like, oh, is that why no one's here? No. But it's nice to, at least we know where we stand right now, and until we find out what the next step is, what's the next, procedures for us to be able to open. with us, we have bar counter for half the restaurant and shared tables. So those are right now not allowed. So we could essentially put 2 4 tops 8 feet away from each other and have maybe 2 groups of 4. But that like practically doesn't really make sense. And how are you going to get them in the same bathrooms and the doorways? And what happens if, as it's like your job to make every relaxation on your rules you can for customers so that they feel like they're getting their bang for their buck. When a customer shows up and he sees someone on the other table that he knows and he wants to run over to hug them, are you going to like run out with a hockey stick and police them to like stop the contact? Like, how are you going to manage those where you want to let them feel like they're in their own home, but you also can't at any point also do that? So right now, I think it's like focusing on the takeaway side and on the touchless and on people being able to be safe in their homes and still feed them. Yeah. And I hope we can open up the doors at some point and make it work. I think June, July, they're talking about relaxation to maybe 75%, and we'll work within that to do what we can so we can still serve people and be safe.
Yeah, we just announced today on social media as well. Like, we're not going to be opening tomorrow on the 14th. If they announce, I think they're announcing it at 3:30 today. Whether or not that's possible, like if they're going to go with the relaxed rules of phase 1. But for us, first of all, we want our staff to be comfortable. A lot of them are concerned, and rightfully so. And not every restaurant. Some restaurants will be able to open because they're big enough. They have the room and the space, and they can design it. But our place is small, and a lot of other independents are as well. And we don't want to. It's not like every restaurant's the same. And so we'll have to look at our case of how we can open up, if we're going to even open up. We're talking about some other ideas for retail. What else can we do? What do we do to pivot? Who knows? But we do need to spend some time at it. And I'd love to be able to send a really positive, we're going to make it. But the truth is, it's a tough industry for all of us, and not all of us will. But we're not going to go down without a fight. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're not a work from home type industry. It's all problems solved by everybody being at work. Essentially, every job in a restaurant is moving one thing and just somewhere else. And it's how do you do that without being people close together, huddled around a pot, and somebody coming to your table and expressing the notes about the sake or the wine that you're drinking, and explaining and asking how your day is. And when you lose all of that, those personal touches, I don't know how we translate that into something. Right now it's our whole motto is people eat good food together. It brings people together, but it can't right now.
Yeah. And I think, and I've said this before, especially when this happened, as bad as it is, it happened to everybody, right? So, it's a lot easier for everybody to get on board and understand the difficulties everybody's having at the same time. And so I think people are more understanding about that, which is good, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the community has been very supportive. And, people are always asking us, what can we do to support you? What can we, and I mean, yes, it's important to drive sales and such, but there's an element that's out of the public's control, right? And that's sometimes it's the cost side of the equation. It's the government's ability to support the landlords.
Yeah.
Because we understand the landlord has their mortgage to pay, and it doesn't just stop with them. So it's a really complex issue, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's the toughest thing for all of us small business owners or any business owners is dealing with uncertainty, right? Because the entrepreneurial nature is to take problems on and figure out solutions and then move ahead. That's what we all do. Yeah. What do you do when there's really no solution in sight?
And then that's what I'm finding the hardest too is, as an entrepreneur, I love the challenges. And I, certain challenges, there's a way to get out of it sometimes or different ways to look at it. But currently nobody has answers. So you're just like, nobody knows what to do, right? So, So going into sort of our last question here, how can we, as other business owners or as patrons, is there anything specific we could do for Prairie Noodle Shop? We're obviously going to post this, let people know that you're open for curbside and that stuff. But is there anything else? I don't know if you guys have any specials coming up or anything. I don't know, anything that we could do.
Follow us on social media. That's where we make our announcements, at YEG Noodles. On Instagram and Twitter. We're also on Facebook. We have a really engaged and great community around us. And they've been everyone's been very responsive to anything we put out there. And I think that's probably the best thing, is just raise that awareness. But also, I think just try to go out there and support the whole industry. We're not all going to make it, but whoever's left at the end of it is going to need support more than ever. And I do think that a lot of us do think that the industry model is going to need to change. And whether that means everybody has to raise their pricing, whether it means we're now going to enter a world of it's just fast food or big chains, who knows? I don't want that. I know, a lot of us don't want that.
Yeah. But I hope it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of unknowns. So stick with us, stick with all the independents, and don't forget about them, right? Don't forget about everybody out there, because I think it's that experience that I said earlier, bringing people together to gather outside of your home. That's the whole point of a restaurant, right? It's not just about putting food in your face.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the staff too, I mean, they do this job because they love making people happy. And it's really hard to get that sense of satisfaction when you're dropping it off to a driver and you never get that you never get it. You never get the smile, you never get the laugh, you never get the validation that you've done a good job, which is kind of like, most people in hospitality, we're not doing it for the money. We do it for the joy of creating a warm environment, of having somebody have a wonderful night with you. So I guess messages, replies, people like replying or after they eat, ordering back just to let us know how the food is.
Yeah.
Like that staff can do a better job and feel like that they are, meeting the demand and that they are doing a job worth doing and it's worth coming to work every day. I think it'd probably help for them to know how they're doing from each customer because they've lost that contact.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Social butterflies who lost our entire everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, I usually see 200 people a day and now I see one.
Yeah. It's tough.
For this industry staff and everyone in general.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being featured on That Local Life. It was wonderful to learn more about your business and how we can help you. If you or someone would like to be featured on That Local Life, message us on Facebook today to set up an interview. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.